This is a Federal News Network podcast.
The Bureau of Prisons may operate federal incarceration facilities, but the Marshals Service also detains people, nearly 60,000 every day. So it has to partner with jail operators, both governmental and private. The Government Accountability Office has found the Marshals Service needs to improve its oversight of these facilities. Federal Drive host Tom Temin got more from the GAO's acting director of Homeland Security and Justice Issues, Derrick Collins.
Let's begin with the beginning. Marshals Service, you don't think of as a detention and incarceration agency. So tell us the scenario that results in this for them.
The Marshals Service is responsible for ensuring the safe and humane housing of the nearly 60,000 individuals in federal custody who are awaiting trial or sentencing on any given day. Now, the Marshals Service does not own or operate jails, but as you mentioned, it partners with private facilities, state and local governments, as well as BOP to house these individuals. And so we were asked by Congress to review Marshals Service oversight of the private and state and local facilities it uses to house the individuals.
So these are people headed to prison anyway, for the most part, but they're not there yet.
Potentially.
Got it. Because some people...
They've not been convicted.
Right. Some people, I mean, there's a state of being convicted, but they let you settle your affairs externally for a month or something before you report. If you're not violent, I think people
sure,
like that.
If you have been sentenced, there's that period before you actually go to the facility.
Or go to, northern Siberia, as the case may be. So what were you looking for in this particular report then?
So, Tom, our objectives were to assess the extent to which the Marshals Service had implemented mechanisms to identify and address concerns related to detention conditions for individuals in its custody, and then see the extent to which it has incorporated key steps to assess the performance of its detention operations.
And it looks like you and some of your folks spent time watching the Marshals Service do the oversight in several locations.
As part of our review, we conducted observations of facility reviews and interviewed officials at 7 detention facilities in 5 Marshal districts across the country.
Wouldn't that, though, invoke, is it the Heisenberg principle, where the observation of a phenomenon changes the phenomenon? That is, how could you get an objective look at their oversight if they know you're sitting there watching their oversight?
Marshals still had to go through the normal steps that they would take in conducting their reviews of the facilities. And so we were essentially flies on the wall, watching them use the tools that are in place for them to conduct these assessments.
And where do they take place?
The assessments take place in the facilities themselves. And so what the deputies do is they've got their tools or checklists that are aligned with federal detention standards. And their review should include firsthand observations, reviews of facility records as appropriate, as well as interviews with facility staff and individuals in custody as appropriate.
And you looked at 6 specific places, though, correct?
Correct.
And they were where?
So we were in Alabama, Illinois, Georgia, Texas, as well as Wisconsin.
All right. And were they examining, the Marshals Service examining federal facilities or state operated or privately owned but operated under federal or state supervision?
So we reviewed 1 private facility, or actually saw the review of 1 private facility as well as 5 local facilities.
And what did you generally find? What are the overall, what's the top line finding?
Overall, we found that the Marshals Service has room for improvement in conducting its oversight. In particular, we noted that the deputies who are responsible for conducting the reviews didn't always receive training. And so in December 2020, the Marshals Service stopped training the deputies on their online platform due to technical and security concerns. The Marshals Service has told us that they plan to complete a new training and have it ready to go in 2024, but they do not have plan and timeframes in place for ensuring that all the deputies receive the training. In addition, we found that the deputies also didn't have guidance on how to use the tools. So there are instances in which we thought or saw that the deputies didn't review documentation or perhaps ask individuals in custody their perspectives on their conditions.
We're speaking with Derrick Collins. He's Acting Director of Homeland Security and Justice Issues at the Government Accountability Office. And were actual issues or problems uncovered with respect to the conditions of the prisons or the way prisoners or detainees were treated?
What we found in looking at Marshals Service data is that most of all of the private facilities met minimum detention standards, but not all state and local facilities met federal detention standards. And so we saw that about 65% of state and local detention facilities had not obtained the Prison Rape Elimination Act audit within the past 3 years. There are about 24% of the state and local facilities that had not ensured testing for tuberculosis during the initial intake period. And about 10% of state and local detention facilities had not been inspected within the past 12 months to ensure that their food service and equipment met established health and safety standards.
So there could be some problems with then the prisoner actual treatment per federal standards.
Their condition and care, correct.
And so what were your recommendations then? It sounds like they are mostly in the training and sticking to the standards that exist area.
Yeah, so Tom, we overall had 8 recommendations to help the Marshals Service improve its oversight, including developing guidance as well as a plan and timeframe to help deputies with the training, and routinely analyzing available detention operations data so that they can identify trends and potential problem areas, and then establishing performance goals for the conditions at the local detention facilities.
And by the way, who in the Marshals Service does this? Are there people dedicated to oversight of detention?
They do have a prisoners operation division. You know, one of the key things that we note in the report is that the deputies that are involved in conducting the reviews do this as a collateral duty. That's why it's so important that they receive the training on an annual basis, as well as have guidance for understanding how to use the tools.
And does the Marshal Service, do you feel, have the capacity to give those people the annual training they need, since it seems like it was sort of vestigial left over from the pandemic era?
We believe so. As I've mentioned, the Marshal Service is in the process of finalizing the new online platform and training, and they do have a requirement that all the deputies take the training each year. And so we'll be, as we always do, following up on our recommendations with the agency to check on the implementation status and provide guidance as needed.
And the agency generally concurred in this case.
To the Marshal Service credit, they did concur with our findings and recommendations and recognize the need to address some of the deficiencies that we identified in our work.
Derrick Collins is Acting Director of Homeland Security and Justice Issues at the Government Accountability Office.